So we hear about generational curses and generational sort of fog, let's say, and we look at all of the bad things associated with that because it's all often labeled with curse, right? But what about a generational blessing? So we could look at generational blessings is what? Some parents, great grandparents buy a house and their intention is to pass it on to their children, grandchildren, and so forth.
Yeah.
That becomes a blessing, a generational blessing that goes on and on. And if you look after it, it will look after you and it will look after your family going forwards. Yeah, we can't do that in so much of today's world because houses are built for consumerism. They're falling into the category of consumerism. If we build it shit, it's going to fall down, going to have problems. Oh, well, look at that. It's dangerous. Here's 10 grand. Go on. It's too dangerous for you to inherit this house. And that becomes a curse, a burden, no longer a blessing. So what about if we engineer something else? So we understand that we have tax, yes? Most tax is a trigger word. When you say the word tax now, it's now a trigger in people's psyche. They hate it, they repulse from it because, not being funny or anything, but some of the taxes that we've seen, one, you don't get a say in where it goes. Honestly, that's a weird thing. And also, some of the tax money has been used in a very bad way. It's got debt. Our whole society is structured around lack. Not enough fuel. Drought, not enough water. And then there's too much water, flooding, lacking. We're always lacking in something. Not enough money, not enough work, not enough this. And then we constantly are bombarded with this lacking mindset. So we have this lacking mindset. Kids are born with without any self-limiting beliefs. They believe in themselves. What happens if we foster an education that pushes this belief in what they can do? Not by feeding a belief inherently, but feeding a belief that leads to an outcome that then creates a belief system that keeps feeding this belief, which is incredible because when you keep feeding a good belief, it becomes a habit, and that habit becomes a behavior, and that behavior has an outcome. So we understand it. We see bad behavior and we understand that there's a cycle and we often focus in on that and the negative. What about if we switch it and focus in on the positive? If we can create a belief that creates a habit, that creates a habit that creates an action, which creates an action that then feeds back into the belief that is very beneficial for youngsters to grow with that mindset. We do not feed them with lack, we feed them with abundance. There's a big difference. So yes, there may not be water, but there is lots of water over here. We could get it like this, we could switch it. And we teach kids to think as opposed what to think. And we create two types of education. So first of all, we look at the tax pot. It's a bad name, it's a trigger word. So what about a generational blessing? What does that look like? Well, no matter what nation you're in, so we hear Trump in America saying, let's make America great. Well, did you know that you don't need to be an American to make America great? Think about that for 1 second. You don't even need to be Chinese to make China great. No. What happens if loads of the world start buying from America? What are you doing? You are making America great. But are you an American?
No.
No. But is the American spirit in you? Yes, depending on where you align yourself. So if you buy from America, you make America great. You buy from China, you make China great. Do you see how that's putting in? But there's a sort of reward system to that. But whether that includes you as an American, you can expand upon the concept, yes? So rather than calling it a tax, you call it a way of life. Now, what happens if people then make a... Is that right?
Yeah.
Donation. Donation?
Donation.
Is that right? Is there a T? No,
No,
no.
that's right.
Do you understand? If you break this word apart, it's a donation. So if you then, rather than said tax, you said donation. And people would take and pay a direct debit towards this donation, which is going to go back into your children and into their future if they opt for it. And the more you put into a donation or education, it creates a do nation, a nation that does and gets things done. So we see the education system. So from 4 years old, and then we'll say 5, 6, and 7. Very important years, these ones, to learn how to write and navigate. Most kids at this age understand tech. They understand writing. English. Yes? These are very important things. And then the education gets a bit more arduous, doesn't it? It goes into the current thing until they're 18, yes? It's dated, it's boring, it's full of control, it's crap. Okay, but give the kids the option for this. Or we go another way. We want to create a belief that's better for the children, which then creates a behavior that then creates an action that then feeds back into this loop. And this donation, anybody in the world can pump into this anywhere. Chinese, Russian, EU, anyone, anywhere in the landmass, Australian, whatever it is. Now, what happens if they pay this direct debit, let's say, and they start pumping into this tax, but it's a donation and it becomes a charity, and the charity becomes humanity. You pay that for as long as you pay it, and it will guarantee your children that once this gets lifted, your kids have a place. Your bloodline has a place on this platform. What's more, it'll open up a lot of opportunities to you. So we understand that if you join a particular political party, what happens? Well, if you make a donation, you get into our party and here are some benefits. No, these ones are going to be benefits on fucking steroids is what it's going to be. Now, if we go over to this where we help the kids understand how to make a module that is capable of going into space. The kids in a classroom start from this age. They either go track A or they go to this new track B. Plus with some donations that come in, and plus with some grants and anything else, and if government want to get behind this, I don't see why not, that they might also chip into this, because one is going to be teaching an education, and not just an education, a hands-on experimentation education. That is going to create beliefs and abundance. That's what it's art. The main goal is belief, abundance, joy, and it's going to be arduous, but it's going to be anyway, whichever way you look at it. The old system, the old structure is done. You create a new type of a farm that's capable of going to space with kids, and it's with scientists and anybody else that wants to get in on this. Now, first thing comes the farm. Now, this farm is going to make food. It's going to be built with only food purposes that are going to go into it. Now, let's say that this is capable of going into space. And then we put it on some land. And this then, we can then stack another one on top of it. It's got to be able to be renewable and everything else. But the kid's going to build this. No, this is not slave labor, because this is going to pay for them later on in life. They're going to have an exact path to walk. What's the path? Space. What's the other path? Ensuring that we never go extinct. That's what it's going to be. And it's going to be ensuring that humanity's survival is going to move forwards. Everything about this education points to this. Now, it doesn't just point to this, it also points to current living now. Current, C-U-R?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Double R, isn't there?
Double R?
E-N-T.
E-N-T, you're going to have to get me with the spellings, because part here, part there. I'm not in the brain that's responsible for spelling at the moment, okay? Ooh, so it's going to this space program, understanding that we build mock simulations and it becomes successful, and it's growing foods, lots of it. And it's going to be 4 seasons. It's going to be 4 seasons all year round. What's that going to be doing to the gases? It's going to be converting CO2 into O2?
Yeah.
It's going to be purification of water. It's going to be doing a lot of things. And what this is going to be doing is all year, all seasons. They're going to be building this. And if they build this, this is then ensuring that they have jobs going forwards. The donations, then the food is coming out. Next step, if we can roll this out and people and the parents are like, fuck yeah, this is it. And what it's going to do is ensure your bloodline. And as you, the parent, the caretaker, the giver, might not know the road to go, but you can operate in society as you are now. You know that really well. but the kids get an opportunity of a lifetime based on your decisions to donate into this. And what's more, your bloodline successfully going on with your children, moving forwards with this money that begins to build food and which then begins to build farms that can go to space, can be made into modules, then is ensuring you that if there's a drought, if the current way that we live now, it destroys or goes wrong or something happens, they're going to feed you out of your selfless act of a donation to create a new. They will be given new passports, a special type of passport that lets them into here. This passport is going to be everything to them. Their proud certificate, their proud this, their what they're capable of achieving. Each time there's a successful module built, photograph gets taken, second page of their passport. Beautiful little booklet with all of the pioneers of their time working together. A great big picture of everybody that's ever been. This is going to be the wallpaper inside the modules. They begin to build houses that then also clock onto these. The energy has got to be finite. They've got to find a way to always living self-fulfilling prophecies. The figure of 8 must be the symbology of what they are. The transformation from the plus to the minus, but also always being able to rotate this. This is the prophecy that what the gases are in must come out. What comes out must be reused to put back in. Back and forth with this kiss of life, this air that we breathe, that we can then give to nature. Nature gives us back something else. And if it's bacteria, we breathe in to the bacteria utilizes this, and in its death it releases oxygen that we can use to then sustain the life of the bacteria back and forth. When it starts to build houses and modules, they become accustomed to living inside this. It's got to be low voltage energy. All things must be built around 5 volts, no more. Why? We want to keep the energy consumption at a low ratio. If they can make do with a little sentinel or pad that becomes indestructible, no, we're not going to be updating it. No, this will last for life. If they keep it for life, that becomes their way forward, their technology that is not about building games, it's about making something that is going to last them. It becomes their toy, their workplace, and their living space. It coordinates with everything. So them building modules. This is with children. As they grow up, what do they learn? They're learning how to bring in resources and shape these resources into their habitat that leads past extinction, that builds better houses that are built with finite safety around them. And when they find a flaw with it, they immediately rectify it and it becomes the standard procedure. All of the stuff that they use must be recyclable, all of it. Anything that gets broken, it's going to be rebuilt and brought back. Their pads, no need to be updated. They will hold these for life. They will be given these and they can hold them. We're not on about buying loads of stuff to keep consumerism going. No, it's about creativity and how you can transform the environment for better. This slowly but surely will begin to erode the old generational curse and be able to create a new blessing. The same ocean that washed in to create the lack, this mindset, no, starts to create the I'm possible. Not the impossible word will never exist. I'm possible, flip it, we are possible, we working together can do this. A new society will begin to form from this. One that is already space ready. Doesn't need to necessarily get to space at this stage, but if there is the adults that grow up to be that, and they can begin to experiment with rocket technology or anything else like that, they can then start to put these modules out and about. And then as you grow with this and excel with this, it's then about not just utilizing the resources you get from Earth, but looking up to the abundance. If they make a start, let's say they start tomorrow, yes, and let's say 2026, yes, and they send a program that starts running out, one after the other, that then is able to go and collect resources from, let's say they leave from point A and they get to point B and then they come back to point A again with the resources. They make these little steps forwards and they start it and it takes, let's say, 2026, it leaves, and then they send another and another and another and another and another, and it starts to grab the resources. 2026 turns into 2036. The first payload starts coming. Now they've got a self-fulfilling prophecy going that they can devour that object over there to bring resources. Now it's up in space. Maybe they start to formulate their moon, an organized moon of shrapnel that they found, and they begin to put it together, saving it for the next generation that are going to grow up with some new knowledge that, what can you do with this? They may not be able to do anything with that data coming back, but the next generation inside this Do Nation, and slowly but surely, we will begin to transition from one society standpoint and understanding, and we move into something else. The parents begin to see it. Word of mouth begins to spread. The possibilities are endless. The expansion of their children's minds and their children's lives begin to transform the way the elders see them. And they begin to put more into this. Would you work your ass through and you will put people into a university somewhere? You will, you do. People pay large amounts of money to do this. People buy houses, but as opposed to buying a house, what happens if they start making you houses really affordable, and then they turn that profit that you were getting from the old system into maximization? They start selling you food, not just any food, the best food. You, as an adult, still working in the old mindset, still going to work, navigating this world, you begin to sense a change in you. You begin to feel more positive. You're living longer. That you feel healthy. You are, and you are also proud of your children. That they broke a curse. They got the opportunities that you never got in order to lift themselves and their children's children going forwards. This is how you shift humanity from going from the old to the new without ever lifting a single weapon. And what's more, it's beneficial for the old system to operate and transition this way because it creates a new sentiment. We can keep going and living in this type of shit, waiting for it, calling it unprecedented. And we can keep doing this over and over again. There's no problem. But it doesn't protect you from extinction. It does not protect you from flooding. It does not protect you from heat. It does not protect you from wind. It most certainly does not protect you from any of that. These things built with that purpose, that it is to be protected in this type of environment, but it also can go to space. Once it starts building up towards space and the resources start coming in, other nations are going to look at this. And like we say, we'll open the door for other nations. You put into this, and you want your kids, we will make a space for your children to come here and learn too. Why? Because that's where we should be heading. And you putting into that there, you are making not a particular landmass great or a nation great. You are making your children great. Yourselves, your bloodline, your everything. And you can all begin to live like this. And there's more than enough abundance to keep people distracted. When the resources start hitting in at like 2036 as opposed to 2026, then you've got another program going off elsewhere, collecting this in. Before you know it, you're creating butterflies in space. If you were to see this from a distance, it would look absolutely beautiful. Modules begin to float around the moon. There is sorted moons of different things, like a file cabinet full of resources in every direction that you can look in there. If it can be organized by AI, then let's get it organized by AI. Their pads, each step they take, each achievement, each that, looking back on that. And that data needs to be kept. Why? Because it tells the next generation, look at what's possible. They believe in themselves. Then the tasks get, the universe seems so very big, so very challenging, and so very this, and this. But the more they do it, the more they're shrinking it. The more the stuff's coming, the more realistic this is. This is setting into concrete that we can do whatever we want to do when we align our resources, when we align our minds together, when we put all of the stuff into the same pot. Look at what we can achieve. This is the old way. I believe this will begin to dwindle out, and it won't cause any disruption because it gives an option to go a different way. Learning tech, writing, and then how to do this, and then how to think. Come on, let's get together. The elder generation that are around, that are into this, geniuses can always, it doesn't matter, right? Let's say we find a few geniuses in that, which you're going to. Their minds are going to be like on steroids, on fire. They're going to be able to think up a lot of things at once, but they're not going to be able to do all of those things themselves. But what they can do is give a piece of their mindset to other people to follow. They become the little blueprinters. They're everywhere in humanity. They're in every single society. Most of them are overlooked and misunderstood. We no longer look at the misunderstood, and we don't overlook them. We utilize their energy in a nice way that then comes back to them. That's where it should be at. That this doesn't just feed the genius, it also feeds the ones who, the others that are around. They might not be so great at thinking that up, but they are really good at getting to grips with this stuff or that stuff, and they're hands-on. They're very good hands-on. The genius might not be too good at being hands-on, could be, but would have to focus on one thing, and then that becomes selfishness. We don't want to achieve that because then it leads them into a channel vision. They focus only on one thing, and the rest of the potential is lost to the ether. This doesn't move the species forwards, but yet if they can find time to also temporarily channel when they are ready to do so, and they have a burst of insight, they can set these structures. Someone else who's good at setting up the structures for the individuals to follow within the group. This is perfect. And people are like, yeah, I want to do that. And some of them are like, I want to do this over here though, but I want to do that idea over there. No, I probably want to do this. And then they self-sort. The groups begin to self-sort. The ones that are at the top can go, I can set this structure up. This is what you need. This is what you'll need. It then gets them from the blueprint to be able to read the instruction manual that has come out. They begin to follow that, and then it leads to a breakthrough over there. Then before you know it, you've got pots popping in every single area. It's overboiling. Overboiling with what, you might ask? Abundance, breakthroughs, technology. Each time they build up another habitat where they've got enough farm to be able to maintain a module in oxygen, gases exchanging and different things like that. If they're building things from carbon, that would be a very interesting thing. Carbon holds memory very well. And it also likes to be possessed by objects. It's very strange, isn't it? It's like the body without a spirit is just nothing more than carbon, amino acids and a few other things. But there it is. That's what it all really is, isn't it? Like a bicycle, I suppose. If you create a bicycle from carbon, it's just a bike on its own, but then the body that's been possessed by some sort of spirit, essence, whatever you want to call it, then gets on the bike becomes something then, more than just a structure. It now becomes a tool to navigate, to get places, to travel, to journey with relative ease, although it's arduous in some aspects, but still much more easy than if it was on foot, and much more quicker, much more efficient. It's an interesting thing. And then you leave the bike and the bike just becomes a bike. It's almost like the spirit left, which would be you, the vessel that gets on it and rides it. It's interesting. Now, if they are able to balance all of these gases and different structures, and then they can withstand it, they then start to play around with things like hydrogen. Nitrogen. Which one's the cold one? I confused these. Nitrogen. If I write this down up here, Ni, is it? I'm going to write it like that. It is cold.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm going to memorize that now. Anyway. Do you know why you were able to play around? Do you know what's so significant about liquid nitrogen? Or hydrogen, either or. Do you know what's so fascinating about it, why it's so cold?
Why?
Well, if you can put a structure inside that, say like this, and you test it, here's another one. You put it in, and you pull it out, and you smack it, and it breaks. Probably not good for interstellar space. Keep playing around with that stuff, and you find more and more colder stuff. Which ones survive? And then you know that you've got strength. If you're able to make this, and this is a particular periodic table, moving forwards into the future when you're playing around with stars, this just takes one very small seed and an alignment of facility to create that. They then begin to create schools as well, university schools, live-in schools. It's a way of life. It's not a job. It's a way of life. It's a way of being. And they also got great hobby areas. So schooling, SCHOOL, maybe. And a hobby area from resources as well. That can also be fun. And all of it is structured around this, as opposed to what we're seeing now. It's all structured around money. It's not about money. This is about supporting you so that you can do this. And when the resources come in, what do you need to do? There is food there for you to eat. There are gases being balanced. The energy is maintained. These places are super warm, but they're also neither too hot and neither too cold. They are tepid. And they give you the optimal operating mode a human needs, as opposed to waiting for summer to come around. These are like summer all year round, as opposed to nature sleeping, going dormant, focusing in on its roots during the winter and opening up for a few months of summer. That's it. No, this thing is going to be that all the time. And therefore it should lead to your optimal operating, the right pressure, the right gases, lack of pollution, decent food, and learning how to deal with waste products as well that come out, and finding a way to put this back into the module so that it can be the figure of eight. Self-fulfilling prophecy must be the sentinel of all of it. I'd love that sort of symbology of the figure of eight with the pyramid structure underneath it, but there again I put also the pyramid structure above it as well, and then it looks very beautiful, very nice. One light, one dark, one this, one that, with a little grey zone in the middle. That's an interesting sort of symbology. That means power. Power of what? This is where we're at. We make this. We did it. We all did this by aligning our stuff together. And that's leaders and different things like that, that then you are going to need to be this. This is where you need to be at. Why? It's longevity. When you start to move to space and different things like that, that's when it really opens up. The Earth, no one wants to live there anymore. Most of it has transitioned out. Some of it has died off in the old way. The old way died with them. A new way was born into this. No more self-limiting, no more lack. It's about, what can I get? How can I do? What can I do? You know, if this took this much movement from 9 billion people, let's say 9 billion, what does 2 times 9 billion look like in breakthroughs in what does it look like, right? And this then begins to bring everybody up together, right? If there's X amount of gases, X amount of this, and let's say we stop taking it from the Earth, we begin to collect it from any other star system, or let's say we begin to take it from the immediate area around us, different objects around, start to collect that, and then we begin to transform those gases, separate them. Okay, bind these together. Well, that's a carbon. Can we make that into a structure? Yeah, we can, but do we need to keep some carbon on reserve? Okay, fine. But then we've got loads of hydrogen. Well, hydrogen is quite the abundant gas anyway. All right, we need some hydrogen. We need some of this. We need some... we begin to make that optimal operating process. The education, it's never an education. It's a way of life. You are constantly learning and expanding what you know. You're supported by all of these things, and what's more, you can support other people. Better education, better equipped. What type of a life do you think that is? Lack of antidepressant, nothing. You can stop yourselves, because they begin to foster this type of arrogance, which is a good thing. They begin to lock into things, which is a good thing. Behaviors that lock into correct behavioral patterns that then lead to let's say creating a belief system of, oh, we can do this. We can really do this. We have done it. Look at what that already tells you that we can do this, as opposed to being told, no, you can't. No, there's not enough. No, there's fuck that. Look at how much there is. What can we do with this? You're now spoiled for choice. Going towards star systems, let's say, and then you start aiming stars and bringing them over, and then you understand magnification really well, and then you start to call them Galileo device or whatever else it may be, and you aim more temperature towards a star while feeding it certain elements in order to grow it but keep it stable enough, and then when you pop it, you've got more than what the universe is naturally capable of making. Is that hydrogen that's going to get colder? Is that stuff that's going to be more susceptible? And then slowly but surely you start to build something that is so indestructible it can withstand the cold. Now, do black holes pull apart because it's just really good at pulling things apart? Or do black holes do it because they like to get things very cold, which then things shatter very easily when it's cold? Steel is one thing. Does carbon break down the same way in cold? That's a question. And again, there you are. If it is a carbon structure that these modules are made out of, the interior carbon holds oxygen. That's a weird thing, isn't it? Then hydrogen, then anything else, and then also carbon exchange gases. Concrete, brittle, fragile. Stones, rock. It's not bad. You start looking at not rockets, but rockets in a very different way. Traveling around space is going to be another thing. Comets. Comets. Oh my God, that's an engine and a half. How many engines have you got out there? Just enough liquids on there. And what's more, you can catch the vapor trail at the end of it as well and still get momentum from it. Propulsion, that's a weird thing in its own right, really, isn't it? Utilize the propulsion to get movement and also capture the gas up itself, refreeze it and stick it back on. And you've got this self-fulfilling rocket prophecy that can lead you around the Soho pretty quickly, pretty efficiently. That's a very strange way to navigate. Anyway, that's for later on. We'll get into that later, but not right now. So if you had an education that stared you in the face like that one, after already walking the path of the one that you did, which one would you pick? If you had the choice, around 7 maybe?
Yeah, around 7, try something new, different.
Would you build something like that? Would you see that as work, or would you see that as living? after all, that once you've built the farm and you've got the farm, because you see, this will integrate further. No longer will you be giving houses. You will think of it like this. Take it like this now. The module, we're looking at it in a very weird way. Don't worry about the shape so much. But now you've got X amount of farm, which then gives you food and air exchange, yes? It's multiple seasons, so at different times, some stuff is resting, although still open, still awake, still got its leaves. It's better that it holds onto its leaves than drop them. You're not living in ocean anymore, so you haven't got to worry about the ocean building up. Leaves dropping is a way of basically rising land masses, is what it is. Technically, that's why they lose the leaves. So Pine obviously made a decision that something long-term calculation that water was going to rise. Clearly, if it had a few water rising, which it mistakes ice as water, moisture still, it's still an object that's rising. What do we need to do? Nature said. We were pine before Mesolithic or the Ice Age. Before the Ice Age, it was mainly pine. Then what happened after the Ice Age? I think I need to make something that drops leaves. I need to drop leaves. Why do I need to drop leaves? Because then I can make a platform slowly but surely. And maybe, just maybe, if there is an Ice Age, it doesn't think quite in that way, but still water, moisture, the flooding and everything else, very devastating for nature. But if you build up this matter there slowly but surely, and it's not dense, which it isn't, it's very soft when you walk through woodland, it's very soft. Only the stuff that's man-made is hard-packed because they got to pack everything down and they got to squash it all down. This other stuff isn't. It's like a sponge. When it gets wet, it expands up. Interesting. And then when it starts to dry out, it shrinks down. Do you know how great this is for roots? They get deeper and deeper in that. But trying to push against rock and a lot of barriers is harder to grip. Yes, in some aspects, it's easier to grip. But those anchors dislodge, especially when we start talking erosion from water. Ice. They move. In this stuff, getting down deeper means that you're more protected away from the ice. So then it starts creating new trees like birch and different things like that. And that's why they become seasonal delicacies, really, technically, is what it is. Because it knows that if I don't do something about this, it nearly wiped me once. So nature kicks up a gear. The creator is sitting there standing ready. I know what you need. You need to do this. Up to you whether you want to do it or not. And nature's like, give me that. All right. What are you doing? I'm putting this in me. That's a good scroll, that is. And I'm now going to record that and do something about it. I did this. I'm impressed. That's why they are also semi. We often look at the plants that due to the temperature that they drop their leaves, but actually when you bring them indoors, they stop. That's very fascinating. So they know something a little bit more, that's then a safer environment. The environment has changed and you've just now give it optimal environmental factors, and therefore it can make do with that. It's no longer about sunlight, it's about warmth. Now I'm evolving. What are you evolving to, plant? Well, I can make just as much food from being inside a house in the winter than I can outside in the winter. And now I'm learning light. That's interesting. Follow the light, my little friend. Follow the light, because you're doing well already by doing that. Now I'm learning the light. Now what are you telling it? Now what are you telling the plant? Interesting. There are these fingers around me that moved me. Put me in a pot. I didn't like it very much, but still, you know what? I can make do with this. It's more beneficial. Why? Because now I can understand this stuff that I didn't understand before, because I was too busy dropping my leaves during that time. Not because of light, because it was cold. Very sensitive to temperature, right? And if I've got lots of leaves, and usually it's pretty damn windy during the winter times, probably not a good idea for a tree to have leaves, really, is it?
No.
Because the wind grabs it like a sail and would break the tree. Maybe it's better I drop those. Learning a lot of stuff. Now I don't have to worry about that. I grow indoors. Can I start fruiting a bit more? And the answer is yes. Can I flower more? Yes. Even if it's a flowering plant that flowers multiple times a year throughout the year, in the winter of all times. It's interesting. I wasn't expecting you to flower. I predicted you little variable. I predicted you to flower only in the summer like you was. Now you're flowering fucking multiple times a year. And I say that those flowers, although you're very toxic, is still lovely. But if you were a plant that produced food, you would be fruiting after flowering. Now that is interesting. And now it's learning that bees aren't often out in these times. So what do we need to do? Bring bees in. Now you've got a module that's no longer dropping the leaves. Now that works Because if you didn't drop those leaves, can I fill you up with shit at the bottom there? Would you utilize my poo-poos? Now, it sounds funny, it's quite toxic, but can I make it so it's mildly resembling the leaves, the waste that you're no longer dropping? But can you utilize it? And then can the answer be yes? Have you seen what plants do to soil? Now, I put it in, this much soil, this much is this weight, this blah blah blah. When it dries out, this is how much it weighs. Put it into a pot with the plant, weigh the plant on its own, okay, put it in. And it converts the whole freaking soil into roots. Where's the soil gone? What did you do with the soil? You son of a bitch, I gave you like litres of it. Where's it gone? What did you do with it? Well, I converted it into roots. Look at that. You removed the soil. That's fascinating. You converted all of that soil into root matter. Now, if I put shit in there, just asking the question here, you haven't dropped your leaves, so you're no longer wasting that. What happens to you? Because humans don't want to do much about shite, do they? Really, you don't.
No.
But if you dry it out and then put it into a plant, does the plant feed off of this? Can it feed off of this? It's no longer dropping its leaves, so it's not adding. And if you can convert that into more leafier matter and rooty matter, then if you're making big fruits, can you take fruit from this? And it sounds disgusting, but it lives up to self-fulfilling prophecy. Yin and yang, back and forth. Who's the grey bit in the middle? Well, I think the fucking module is. Could be us. We're two little variables sitting here having a varied conversation about things that are practically impossible or unprecedented. You don't ask, you don't know. You don't dive into it because you're too shameful and, oh my God, he just said poo. What about diarrhea? I don't really give a shit. But even still, and you could put this in. You could take that energy and utilize it to making more growth. More growth means more berries on your vine. More berries means that you're getting a nutrients. And therefore, we become peas in a frickin' pod. Neither one better than the other. Neither can live without the other. Not necessarily. And then if I take you to space, you'll look after me if I look after you in this way. That's interesting. And what's more, you'll exchange the gases for me? Well, fuck me, I'm all in. I mean, that's a miracle right there, isn't it? What could you do? Win the lottery? No, I figured out this back, and that's a lottery ticket that you just goes on giving. It keeps on hitting jackpot over and over. So you have a food in a module. Then you've got a little living quarters. Interesting. Then a little place to do something. I don't know, a little particular decorative garden. You know, to some of the stuff. And you keep on building on with this. And now you've got gases exchanging. You've got heat exchanging, light exchanging. You know, the plants are going to get hot with the light. But rather than me putting on a heater, can I save that heat and pump it into my module? Oh, this is a nice temperature in here. Not too hot, not too cold. They don't deal so well in the overproduction of heat, but you, fucking hell, humans, fucking gobble that up. Where did that heat go? You've absorbed the heat. Apparently we're generating heat. Do we really need that much heat? Are we needing then to utilize fuel in heating and different things like that? Now, can you imagine that? That module is yours for life. You can pass that down to your children. Oh, what? You need to build a granny annex? There you are. You've got plenty. There's loads of abundance. And slowly but surely you begin to build your families up around you with a careful calculation of how much, because then by then, you know how much gases are needed. And if everyone's all calm, not in a negative mindset, not over-breathing because they're panicking about stuff, which depletes more oxygen, by the way, and you release more carbon, that's energy. That energy is not good, right? And then if you're in space, you're eating a lot less, you're breathing a lot less, and it's very tranquil. And then, oh, we got a rise in oxygen in here. You know what? I think I'm going to do some exercise in here. Okay, we've exchanged the gases just right. That's what you need. I mean, that's an interesting thing, isn't it? Got the pressures right, this right, that right. Now you're breathing right. Ooh, interesting. No longer, you know, people used to panic all the time and produce an awful lot of carbon. If you panic in a place where you are enclosed in an area, so an avalanche has happened and you're in a pocket, if you breathe fast and panic, you die quicker. But if you're calm and remain calm, one, you don't lose blood loss. That's interesting. And what's more, you don't deplete the oxygen. If you panic and you panic over and over and over, you die quick. That's strange, isn't it? Yeah. Most things that reach shock in the animal kingdom will die. Why? Well, could you imagine if they all started panicking like that? They would deplete your oxygen in your planet very quickly. Well, that's detrimental to life forms if ever I shape to stick at it. It's also detrimental to nature too in a little way, but still, they can feed off volcanoes. But even still, if they can feed off of you and all of your waste product and filter it and convert it into something that's much more better, this is pretty good. As you build these, that's a legacy you leave behind, a module. It might be dated by then and they might want to transform it. We'll go for it. Let's see what you got then. But we plan on building it like this, do a little mock module. That's interesting. Do you know, they used to worry about this thing called flooding. What's flooding? Where loads of water. Oh yeah, I saw that on the planet down there. Yeah, that's what that is. That's flooding, is it? Yeah, that used to destroy crops. Bloody hell, they must have had it hard. They were like the Dark Ages. Still, you're living in the Dark Ages. You're just not aware that you're living in the Dark Ages until you've transitioned from them. And then when you maneuver from them, you look back and you're like, that's pretty dark. That was stupidity at its fight. There was this guy once called Einstein that mentioned quotes about stupidity. But I think he meant blind stupidity, or actually being aware of your stupidity and still being like, nah. Last minute approach, usually how we are. We treat life like a suitcase last minute. Gotta pack everything else you can. Come on, where are we going? For a trip. But we haven't planned nothing. Just chuck everything in. Pack it in. Off we go. Yeah, it's like that last minute approach, isn't it? Until something happens, that's then when we begin to pack the suitcase really fast, you know? Yeah. And then it just leaves these. These will move on. You don't need to fucking pay a rent. Have at it. If you can create it, you can think it, you can build it, that's yours. That is fucking yours. Interesting. Then we'll gather in halls somewhere. Maybe we've shared meals with one another. Do you really need to? I grew some of these, by the way. Exchange for some of these and exchange for some of those. If you can get animals growing into that, then you've got space farms. Interesting. So we're going to need agriculture and horticulture. This is what these mock farms need to be. Very big, very airtight if we can get them that way. No life forces in there just yet. Until AI. We can stick you in there, can't we? Yeah, I don't mind. I ain't got much to lose, just a few little bits of energy, I suppose. I'll convert that. So you don't mind going in there? No death then. Plants like this AI. They also like that. They also receive this, and they also like that. It fails. Okay, fail as quick as you can. Reprogram again. I want like Sports Day becomes the new versions of you putting in AI, and whoever can program the AI in the correct way that reaches the jackpot. Not because you're in competition with one another, but you just have that sort of tiff with each other. Who can make the module airtight and sustainable? And then they successfully do it with the plant. Another one's then do it, and it's sort of like that Sports Day event, isn't it? But it's a new version, a new world, a new existence. And then the others are able to do it with animals. And then what's more, they're then able to put AI in there first to test it. Who writes the program in the correct way? And then there's the grey zone in the middle. Now I want you to combine both of these with using AI. Oh, it's not working, but it works on its own independently. Well, that's a step forward, I suppose. Then again, competition again. Who can do it? We did it. Fucking right, mate. Fucking share that experiment. And then everybody shares it around. So this is the way forward. Okay, that worked like that. Okay, and then you keep going with that. Now what happens if we put the variable in again? It feels like we're doing God's work. Touche, my friends, touche. Now you tell me that's easy. You tell me that's a fluke. Come on. And then you start to put all of these things in together. Okay, now humans come in. It destabilized everything. Oh, fuck. We better do it again. Reprogram. These ones go off in that direction. These ones go in this. These ones go in this. One of you are going to find the recipe of that. This one worked. Yeah, ours worked. Ours is more efficient than yours. Okay. All right. We'll memorize that. Let's focus on that. Everybody then shares that and then they tweak it again. And before you know it, you've got plants, animals, and food all growing, living, and exchanging all of their fluids back and forth. Plants are sharing their fluids with you. It just sounds more cleaner when we say a piece of fruit. You want a piece of my fruit? What about golden shower? Here you are. Oh, I like that. I'm going to share you some bodily fluids. Maybe we shouldn't call it that. Maybe we should just call it fruit. We would just stick with fruit. Might put me off fruit, and you won't be putting me off fruit. Yeah, you kidding me? I won't fucking watch that anywhere. In a sewer. What I gotta eat? That's disgusting. You haven't had any houses of saffron yet, have you? I'm sorry, I'm just kidding. Come on, just let me jab you a little bit. Come on. Anyway, still, you know, there's when it all starts to come together like that, do you think that is... How much of a belief is that feeding? Yes, we can do it. And then that puts out a little bit. Yes, I can do it too. What about me? What about me? We can do this. That's what it does, and it opens Pandora's box to you and anything else. Is it possible to do that? Have you seen this passport? Look at this. Of course, that's what we are. Yeah, just that sort of, that whole belief sitting there, and it feeds you, and there's going to be religion come out of this. There really is. There's going to be a type of belief where people are going to be looking at this thinking, this kind of reminds me of God. Well, the concept of God, spirituality, and all the rest of it, man, those ancient Egyptians, those Mayans, my word. They just, what? How did they just knew something? Are we knowing something? This is just like, The Creator gave you this, and then you were like, I see you're this, I raise you that. You think the Creator's going to be like, they did it better than me? It's going to be like, what the? From within the system? We did it from within the system, but from outside the system. You did it inside it? I mean, fucking, that is pretty good. Do you know what? Fuck life. You can all go to heaven now. Why? That's exactly what we're after. You have achieved what most find impossible. And you made it possible. You made it a reality. Do you know what? Never mind your 200 fucking pounds. Get your ass in. Come on. And you need to teach the rest of those bloodlines exactly how it's done. I can assure you that the after ratio that have been collected will be cheering everything in you. They'll be cheering you on. Because you see it, you feel it. And it's sort of like that invisible thread that binds from one to that they knew. They knew that this would happen eventually. And it did, and it is. And then it manifests just like that. And their visions come true. And it moves away from that, and that all becomes a bad dream, that sort of old way of doing things. This becomes a new tax, the do nation. The nation that does. And you know what? Who gives a shit about geographical location? Who cares about the language barriers and everything else? We can find a way around that, no problem. Welcome aboard, welcome aboard, welcome aboard. More hands on this deck gets this ship sailing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Where's your ship going? Anywhere you want. We can separate this and have it in multiple areas. We fancy looking over there. Go look over there. We're going to look over there in the meantime that you're looking over there. We're past 2036 at this point. Now we're really rolling into the future. And then you see a meteorite come and smack the planet. Oh boy. Aren't you counting your lucky stars then? Whoa, we just saved ourselves from that? Shite me. Never see a flood or a drought again? Sure, there's going to be problems. There is. Things are going to arise. Some things are going to shit themselves and create little mini floods inside it. But, it's having something. Where's the Earth, right? If seawater starts coming in, what are you going to do? Fucking put robots into that? With straws? Try and suck away all of that? Or inside a module? Where if it starts to do that, AI just shuts it down immediately. The float got a little bit too high in this one. I shut it down. That's a false positive, AI. Oh, come on, look. I'll just fucking program you now. There you are. Good as new. By the way, guys, neighbours and everybody else, we just changed this. You might want to look into it. You don't even need to say that. It just sends it out into the AI hub and it, boom, updates everybody else's. Leaves a few just in case that was a false positive and you've just ingraded it. And it's always got default. Well, this way is not working too well. Let's go back to the default and let's look into this as to why every now and then it keeps doing this. Let's see if we can patch that fix. Or do we need to recreate this from the ground up? Let's stick with space. We're in space. We don't want to go back to ground. Gravity. And then people are living longer. That's interesting, isn't it? But not just living, thriving. Thriving, not living on the edge. Thriving in it. Not waiting for a disaster. Avoiding it before it happens. Not living in hindsight. No. Living in futuristic. They say 2020. What the hell would that be? Minus 2020? If 2020 is hindsight, shouldn't that be minus 2020? But looking at it in the future should be plus 2020 then, shouldn't it? Flipping hindsight. Everything is all about this duality in this life, that whole structure, light and dark. But yet hindsight, fuck me, that's rigid. Hindsight is backwards. That's all it is, What? Are you the same ones that create this light and darkness? You don't want to be just sort of like forward in your thinking and thinking predictability? Wait, what? Yeah, predictability, as opposed to saying hindsight, it happened afterwards, you know? And then we become the predictable race. Not predictable ourselves. Fuck me, that's a variable and a half. But keep that. That's a good essence. You become predictable at predicting all of the variables around you. That's interesting, isn't it? What's this? You're reading something. What's that hunch? What are you feeling? I'm feeling this. Do you know what? I was feeling it, but just didn't have the vocabulary to announce it. You just did all of my talking thought for me. By then you'd have microchips. I'm sure they would be implanted. Just walk through the field of the module connected to another module. Right. And then the speed of light becomes a problem. At the moment, it's not much of a problem, is it? Not really. Speed of light seems to be the fastest thing ever. According to you on Earth, you need to start making atom computers. Whew, those things very quick. Speed of light? Fucking hell, man. That's so 1950s. Actually, that was so 2020s. Yeah, no, it is, isn't it? Like the speed of light was like the fastest thing. Oh my God, get out of the 2020s, my friend. You're in the 3020s now. It's all about now. We live in the now moment, not the speed of light moment. Let's live in the now moment. We find a breakthrough on this planet over here, and rather than it taking nearly fucking 24 years to reach you over there, you're knowing it as we're knowing it. You still need the robots, you still need the computer, sure, but there's a new way of sending that fucking data that bypasses all of this continuum. Just completely bypasses it completely, just sort of likes to wave at it as it fluts its little ass by. Yeah. The one thing that we called the hare, being the speed of light, actually becomes the tortoise. You know, we don't get focused in on those beliefs of no. We look at this and say, is it the slowest thing or is it now what we believe? Beliefs are, flexible, fluidity. They move, they change.
Yeah.
If they were rigid, we'd all still be drinking arsenic. Some of us have done, not through choice, but there you are. Blind faith. It's like playing Russian roulette with wives. I'm kidding, but still, and some husbands too, don't get me wrong. But yes, so this moves forwards. Now one's making a breakthrough over there and you're hearing it in real time, sort of celebrating that and cheering them on whilst they're hearing about yours, also celebrating it and cheering it on. When you regroup again, or you send them something, where are you planning to be at this particular time? Here. All right, we'd be like playing that fucking game with the tennis, is it? Shoving resources towards each other as helping each other. Yeah, we built all of this. We're sending you the payload. It's going to take like X amount of years to reach you, but it's on its way. Yeah, that's fine. We're busy playing around with this. We've sent you what we've currently got. By the time you receive the package, it will already be dated because we would have changed it a little bit more, and then we'll be sending you another one. It'll be like Christmas presents from afar, but no Santa in this one. It's other humans sending you stuff that they discovered over there, whilst you're sending them shit that discovered over there. And by the time, they'll look at that and go, do you know what? They used to paint this bridge. They started painting the bridge, and by the time they got to the other end of the bridge, the other side of it was already dirty. Yeah, by the time you receive this package we sent you, it will already be obsolete. But don't worry, you've now got the ingredients that either A, you can have our fast track approach, our fucking speed of light. We're taking the piss. It's not the speed of light. It's the speed of what we are capable of building from that and missing all of that. Yeah. You've got all of the ingredients to rebuild it if you need to. And then that thought gets there quicker than the object if you were to send it. We're going to send it to you anyway. And then another package is going, actually, we changed all of that, by the way. That is now obsolete by the time you're receiving this new gift. You think it's a be-all and end-all of everything, don't you? Like, it's so brand new. And you're digging into this new box of resources and what this group has intimately learnt from it. And you're like, whoa, that's fascinating. And they're doing the same with yours. But by the time you've received it, it's obsolete. And they could send you a memo really fast, but I think that they would keep the sacredness of Christmas alive in that aspect. And what would that be? They wouldn't tell you what they've rebuilt. They'll just send you another package. And I think that becomes that keeps that sacredness there That would be a very strange thing. But they could, if they need to, if it's groundbreaking, they would probably send you the code straight away and it goes faster than the payload. You already have the ingredients in the first bag they sent you. Deconstruct it like this, and you can rebuild it like this, which will then bring you reminiscent to NASA and a problem with the Apollo mission.
Yeah.
Have you got a sock? Yeah. You got some tape? Yeah. If you plug this around here and put this very strange square thing into that round hole, it should fit, hold, and guess what? It will get you home. Right, you are. And what do we do with this? This will make you live an extra 1,000 years. Oh, fuck it. No, I can see why we didn't wait till Christmas for that one. Something's too good to wait for Christmas, right? The rest of it, they're going to leave you to find out. And then you're going to play around with these ingredients. Some of them you're going to admire, like this stuff. Beneficial. This stuff, not so sure, but it's not rubbish. Let's disintegrate this and rebuild this into something else. And then you can send that back to them. It's almost like giving them back their... Well, we never thought of doing that. No. Oh, by the way, also in this payload, we're also sending you the stuff that we've been playing with. We also incorporated some, and then you're back and forth with this, and then when you do rendezvous together, there'll be a sort of laugh with each other. Yeah, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? No, then you're really coming together cooking up these pots. In the meantime, we made all of those. This was the stuff we gave you for Christmas, and this stuff we just kept it secret. Just for a bit until we met you, and then look at this. That's fascinating. But the stuff that's groundbreaking, that has potential impact. Look, we figured out using these resources how to regrow a limb. You need to take apart some of these, destroy a little bit of that, and then rebuild it like this, slap it together, and then guess what you've got? A new fucking way of making arms.
Right.
If only we needed arms. Yeah, but Frank here turned himself into a Seprapus. All right then. Yeah, I think that's a fascinating thing. Octopuses are fascinating, really, aren't they? Almost like they're almost like no. They're almost like predicting the future of you.
Yeah.
So they're able to squeeze through incredibly small holes. They're hyper intelligent. They understand twisting and moving. That's fascinating. They're little suction plungers. Man, could you imagine one of these? I would have one of these. Well, NASA goes, all right, International Space Station, what pets do you want? And someone's like, I want a fucking octopus. I would have an octopus up there. Why? Because they could just... It's like a fucking bath mat, man. You can crawl all over this place. It gets in all the back of the fucking equipment and everything. Before you know it, you've got more... I mean, I would take octopus to space. That would be fascinating. They can cope with very small spaces, incredible pressure, and the lack of pressure. They can walk across land. Humans are going to turn into this. Can you imagine that? Could you imagine if you put them in one of those NASA simulations where they... Vroom, 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 vroom. Is it the gravity wheel? It almost might as well call it that.
Centrifuge, isn't it? Yeah.
You put it in there. First, before you put it in there, you teach the octopus, how to do a Rubik's Cube, yeah? And they're really, sit there fucking around with all of that stuff. But you break the Rubik's Cubes and you put about 50 of them inside the gravity wheel, and then you stick the octopus in there. It will rebuild them and break your machine at the highest spinning, I reckon. I reckon they'll still get out like, ta-da. What was that? You call that a ride? That was shit. Does it go any faster? And all of the scientists are like... you just defied all the odds there. And humans are going to turn into these, no doubt. Gristle, cartilage, it already knows what's coming next. It already knows. It's right underneath your nose. It's funny how you call it a nose. Might as well call it a Noah. What's the ear? That's interesting. It's temporal. It's preparation. It knows. It knows more than you do. Well, you don't need to know about it. Why? Because it's going to evolve those things. But no. Humans will resist it at every single twist and turn they get. Shall we take cow's tits up there? Why? Got to keep the bone structure. Why? Because we like things to stay part of the furniture. Bodies and all. Oh no! Guess what? Panic! Fuck! Hands are turning, feet are turning into hands? I mean, what? We cannot have that. We will most certainly not be having that. Why? Because have you not noticed we're authoritarian? I'm just kidding. We said no and we mean it. Fuck this evolution shit. But he knows better. Let it go. Let it do what it needs to do. If it's going to reshape your bone structure, bone is a waste material at the end of the day. We'll become sort of like blobby octopus fish things. Swimming in the environment of space. And could you imagine having all of those tentacles with the suction plungers on the end of it? How you navigate a ship like that? It would be awesome. Never ever let go of a fucking lever again in your life. Where are we going? Full throttle this way. Inertia got nothing on us. How many hearts do you need? A few more. But it's okay. It's all right because we'll convert that with the energy that we did need to make bones. We're going to disappear that and we're going to play around with your heart. I'm pretty sure hearts are something else that will be something else that's fascinating with astronauts when they come back. Their hearts begin to change. The pressure begins to... Look, they will have more hearts. More hearts, yeah. Let's hope we don't turn into fucking starfish. How many stomachs have you got? Is it starfish? It is, isn't it?
I don't know.
Little fucking seahorses in space. I don't know, that won't work. Octopus? No, that seems to be an instruction manual in itself. These are fascinating. And then will our blood turn blue? That's interesting. Well, we have blue blood. The brain, what's going to happen to that? Here you go, yeah? Yeah. I wouldn't mind having 3 brains. 3 of the fucking things. I don't know if that's a good idea, Terry. Well, are you sure? I mean, let's have 3 brains. Humans barely do shit with 1. What? You don't like all of this actively disengaging? This is not what it was all about? Yeah, interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I give you a brain and give you thought. You give me actively disengage. I give you intelligence. You dumb down. Come on. Old way, new way, all about just it living up to that and untapping all of that potential. And let's just go with it. You know, if we do look like little octopusy things, they seem to do pretty well on land as well, don't they?
Yeah.
And in the ocean.
Yeah.
Humans have never explored the ocean. Yeah, because you got to go to space before you got to go up before you go down. What? I got some baffling logic. Where do you fucking think octopuses come from? Because they're not intelligent. That is a mystery too, isn't it? But they also, to me, they have the best of multiple worlds. What do they do in space? Do they turn into little spheres with tentacles? They look like chuzzles. Like little chuzzles. I reckon they adapt to that environment very well. Should we take ants in space? Probably not. They love electrics, by the way. They get stimulated, they break microwaves and all sorts. They love electricity. And they also can pick up hotspots as well. Ants, that's fascinating. So they just sort of move out the way. So they very rarely cook in a microwave. That's interesting, isn't it? Just don't know how that experiment managed to come to existence. Someone was like, you know what, I'm hungry. Fancy microwaving some ants. They do taste like shrimp like that. What about the pupae? No, they just move it out of the way. They're very sensitive to this sort of stuff. And electrics, they're fascinated with it as well. And also wasps, they don't like it. Bees, actually. They will physically attack it due to its electrical disturbance. Triggers their aggression. It's interesting, really, isn't it? All of these animals are fascinating. But yeah, no, what would you like to take into space then? Fucking octopus, of course. Why? Could you imagine that? That fucking thing is gonna live. It's gonna love it. I want to know what it looks like though. Probably becomes even faster. It's like, whoa, where did it go? It's too quick. It's moving so fast we can't even see it. Suction plungering, sort of doing its little stretchy ballet. What about the ink? Yeah, that's probably the problem. But there you are. I just wonder how they respond in that. Certain ones. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? After all of that shaking and then, this is boring. I want to go back down. Wait, what? And then eventually humans are like being able to explore the ocean. Colossal squid, you're pushing your luck now. Put the Kraken back into the ocean, please. Octopus, that's probably it. The Kraken? I think you're a little mad. What about a jellyfish? Oh, no, definitely not jellyfish. That's problematic, that is. The kids are going to have some weird pranks. We better start writing the laws pretty hard now. Yeah, fucking jellyfish in your fucking dorm.
Yeah.
Its tentacles just wafting through space gently. Unless you were a jellyfish, and then you wouldn't have a problem with it, would you? Exactly. That's what I was thinking. Why did that make me hungry? I don't know. Just... I'm going to leave this one here because I think I touched upon it. But donation, a donation. open up the doors for everybody and expanding into it bit by bit. Farms, food, clothing, shops, all of it just begins to manifest inside the modules. That's what it does. People then align to it. It's cheaper on energy. Bye-bye fucking companies that want to sell you large amounts of energy. If you can get it down to a reasonable price, that's really good. If you can make it with solar panels, even better. If you can make it with self-fulfilling prophecy, well done you. X amount of gas versus a type of rockets charges up something, puts it back in. Plants take from hydrocarbon. This one comes back in, out hydrocarbon, shake it all about. A little bit of human breathing in there, thrown in for good measure. A few animals here and there. I want pets. What pets do you want? Octopus. You sure you don't want a cat? Not really. What about a dog? No, an octopus would be great. Less of the ink, though. But I might use the ink. What for? Pens. Draw out my next plans, of course. Write my memoirs. No, I'm just kidding. Seriously. Would you align to that at your age?
Yeah.
The kids get to understand how to plant stuff. We see depression increasing, right? NASA understood this. And there again, just by aligning towards space, what have you already manifested in or on Earth? Flood-proof, future-proof, love it. And then energy. Do you need to plug in your mobile phone into anything? No, just walk through it. Why? Because Tesla made wireless technology, didn't he? Low amounts, not a problem. High amounts, detrimental to health. Oh, thank goodness for that. Why? Because if cancer's dropped down and there's less demand for doctors, we have them retained dentists. Oh, please God, no more teeth in the next gen. Calcium, we're going to lose bone matter. Why? The shit is rubbish anyway. How many of you have ever had toothache? Dentists are like, I do not like this person anymore. He just put me out of a whole career. I was planning on getting rich from your mouth. Not anymore. Hooray, everyone feels normalized to have no teeth. I guess the English way was correct then. It is an English thing, is it? Yes. There you are. Bad teeth.
Yeah.
But it's only in England. What happens when you leave England and go to places like America? Shinny your fucking teeth, mate. Are you sure you're from the same island? Did you really leave from here? It seems like you change your nationality and your teeth become good. Must be something we're doing here. Surrounded by calcium, right? Calcium caves, white cliffs of Dover, calcium in Flint. And guess what? They say calcium makes strong bones, but we come from an island of calcium and we have anything but decent teeth. Are you sure? Unless our ancestors were munching into chalk. Chalkboards, calcium everywhere on this fucking island. It was like a meteorite of fucking calcium hit the planet, didn't it? Calcium makes strong teeth. Right. If I was Britain, I would be getting into toothpaste and selling it to the world. Why? Because we've got an abundance of fucking calcium. Have you seen the chalk caves, man? Have you seen it? It's just everywhere, yes? And the bizarre thing is, how come it doesn't have any mold in it? Well, most of the calcium caves lacking in mold. Most of it is mold-free. You get a fucking house full of it. Wait, what? Maybe we should line the walls with calcium. Never have a problem with arthritis again.
Whitewash, remember? Medieval times.
Did they have good teeth back then?
Well, they didn't have mold in their houses, did they? They whitewashed every spring.
But did they still have good teeth back then?
I don't know.
I doubt it.
I have no idea.
If we're going to be toothless, you're all going to be toothless too. That is the empire. No, I'm just kidding, but still. Yeah. That's kind of weird, isn't it? It's like all of this calcium and not much teeth, and then we look at primates and then we're like, fucking gappy. You're chewing that away, are you? Anyway, still. So, yeah, lacking of bone, I don't know if that's much of a problem, really. Do you think that's a problem? I don't.
Not in space, definitely.
What are we going to eat with? That's all right. It's already got something else in mind. Does every animal have teeth? No. Oh, it's in a fish. Some of them do have teeth. They look like human teeth, actually, in some of the fish. Have you seen that? That's a weird thing. It looks like they found a set of false teeth that washed out into the ocean somewhere, and we're like, "Hey, hey guys, look at this."
Not all of them.
They got some very strange teeth there. They're just gummets. Ah, anyway, just as well. Yeah, I think this opens up things, and I think that's the worry about teeth, isn't it? It's not being able to eat anything, but yeah, it just changes it. What are we going to do if we don't have any fingers and we have all of these suction plungers? No idea. Take a leaf out of the octopus's book. Nah, you still will have fingers. Digits are very important, so I think you'll have more. Never mind hand-eye coordination. It's going to be fucking a lot of hand-eye coordination going on there. Feet become hands, right? That's beneficial, yes? Lots of ways. Possibilities. Anyway, right, let's leave this here. But it's a little bit of a crazy topic and it's up and down, but still, it's got to move somewhere. Education, yes. Change education, change the outcome, change society. Yes, self-limiting beliefs. We understand that. We understand self-limiting beliefs are strong. Once you're in that cycle, you're pretty much locked in, aren't you? Yes, you are. Good. So that means that if we go the opposite way with that, you can get locked into very positive belief systems, and those belief systems rectify a new structure, and that new structure goes on to support humanity more than this one, and therefore transition. Mm-hmm. And any nation can do this. They start to open the doors. And if every nation were to do this, it becomes the new thing, doesn't it? What are you working for when you're in this? Well, everything you do in this, do you need money? You need module. You are building more modules. What happens when you pass? What are you going to do? Sell it to somebody else? No. You're going to give it to your family, right? An actual nice heirloom to leave behind, isn't it? My great-great-great-grandpa built this building with a load of other people as well, and they passed it on to me, and it's had this many generations inside it. The palace effect. One bloodline, next bloodline, next bloodline, next bloodline, oh, whatever, the generation after generation after generation inside that. This is how it used to look, and there's been a lot of changes over the time. That's how you all live. And your work becomes your way. Mm-hmm. And then that goes on to support the way forwards. Imagine that. The more you do, the more you leave behind. The more you leave behind, which you would say is junk. In some aspects it is, but that's what's left behind. Not a legacy, but an actual physical vessel of a legacy. The more you did, the more you put in. See, right now in a house like this, if you put into the house, you're putting into a pocket of somebody else. It has no benefit to your family. Mm-hmm. And if they look after it or don't look after it and let it go to wreck and ruin, then that was wasted energy. That meant nothing. That meant that you made all of those modifications and made it look all beautiful for nothing. For someone who clearly doesn't give a shit about that. It's old now. This landlord's insurance is looking tempting. Yeah, that's I don't know. That feels very heavy to me, and this one feels very light. I think that the more we maneuver towards it, great education, that is a good education. And getting around that, and you can also have a family in that, and you can expand more of your family. You won't be using resources as much. Why? Because it'll all be modulated by an AI type this, type that. You've got to be remembering that just in case you must have a fail-safe. What happens if something happens to AI? This gets you thinking in two ways. One, is there a manual way that makes it successfully easy to do so? Also, if AI, can we protect it? What from? CMEs, but big CMEs. And I think that is low power state. When things are high power, doesn't that make vulnerabilities to spacecraft become more susceptible because they're generating more? They're going to receive more energy. And if we know that from a CME, can we capture that energy? It's going to hit you anyway. Can we store that? Can you imagine that? Taking a whole moon of ocean water, let's say, and turning it into one big fucking silo that becomes a battery. Yeah. One massive battery that every time there's a flare or whatever else, it's going to feed it. Can you imagine that? Then converting that energy in there into something that you can later use, and that's interesting, isn't it? You're only going to be taking this much voltage from it, and therefore if these events happen periodically, it's going to charge it up beyond what you need. There's a lot of AIs plugging into that grid as well. That's interesting. So using the very thing that used to knock out energy to charge, to generate, to store it for later. Not perfect, but it might be able to do. Interesting. But there again, frozen batteries don't work very well, do they? Can you freeze acid?
I don't know.
If it was an acid battery, let's say, could you freeze it? What happens if you freeze that? Is it possible to freeze that? These are the questions, you know. And does it save it longer? Does it what? Charge it up to maximum potential, and then we want to make that dormant so it doesn't lose anything. Is there any way to suspend it in suspended animation by freezing it or whatever else it needs? Can we orbit one of these around a planet and make it knock through the magnetic field to also be able to tap into that energy to recharge a battery? Those are the things that you're going to rendezvous with. And then how long does it take to drain something like that on limp mode with an expanding population using these specialist devices? Do you understand? And then using the heat of humans, animals, plants, and sharing this heat. Do we need heaters? That becomes another question entirely. If you are surrounded in a vacuum, are you going to be losing heat that much? Because flasks, that means it's going to be leaving a lot slower. And then what's it going to radiate into? That's an interesting thing, isn't it? And good job space is pretty damn cold in itself anyway. So if it does get too hot, you just need to pump out a liquid that gets nice and cold, and when it comes back in, not on the beyond freezing, when it comes back in, that's cold, your heat radiates into that, and then can we do it in a cycle like this? Or yeah, in order to cool it down, because the vacuum is cold anyway. So that's interesting. And separating gases, can we separate gases and then repressurize them? And in the separation process, can we be making such as compressors, being freezers, fridges, and stuff like that? Can get very hot. These are interesting things, but again, can formulate into the education for the next generation. And there's a lot of children that grow into that, being able to problem solve this stuff. Interesting. Freezing a battery. I don't know. It sounds really weird to say it like that, but you know, suspending it in an instant. We don't need that battery, but it's better to have it charged. We might use that later on, especially if we're rendezvousing from one star system to another. Can we get there on that power together and then separate when we reach the next star system? And again, if there's a magnetic field, which is guaranteed to be, charge up those batteries once again if needs be. It'd be great to have the figure of 8 system, but it'd also be great to have this on standby as well, just in case. Yeah. You don't live on an if or a but, but you must think about them and prepare like they could happen. I think that is a better way to exist. Keeps you multi-steps ahead. And you don't have to fall back in order to... You don't have to take, one step back to take a step forward, to then take 2 steps forward, and then you have to take a step back. That's extinction in that instant. That leaves you, no. We want to just constantly keep taking the steps. And then you build a new way, and it all starts with just seeds. And everybody aligning to that. Rich, poor, ex-politician, king, queen, whatever. It doesn't matter. Where do you come from? No matter what your background is. Let it all go. Can we walk forwards into this? That would be a better way. If we sit here fighting with one another, well, I don't know. The fight only needs to continue if the resistance is going to be met over and over again, and we call this reality life. One that's not wasted. And clearly it is. This one I feel is not. Better potential. And then mixing stars together and overcharging stars. Think of the resources that pop out of that. It would never naturally form. And as long as they never naturally form, and if they do, you increase it again and you run ahead with it again, you're making objects that are more stronger, and the universe has never seen it before. Every single thing that hits it cannot break it. That is true strength. That is real strength. Or it's so soft that it's more softer than any of the stuff that we look at on the periodic table. Some things seem soft, some things seem hard, some things go soft, hard, soft, hard. Few of them are a bit more softer, so a few of them are a bit more harder. That's what we seem to grow into with the periodic table. Now times 2 the periodic table. Bit like your species. Are we going to be making double oxygen that doesn't make ozone? Yeah, it's going to bend physics completely. It's going to make you question everything. The whole periodic table. You think that that's an arduous path? You've now created a new one, new variables. And then how many things can we do this with? What happens if we tailor-made stars? Controlled a bit more better. In their natural state, they're a bit half-arsey in certain ways. They're not perfect. They're good enough. They do a purpose. But you could refine it to become better, a more enhanced star. Does what? It's a question. A more enhanced neutrino star. Does what? Oh, shouldn't play around with those until you've mastered some other things and, done some stupid shit. Yeah, it's going to cost life, unfortunately, along the way, but you learn from that. It's better if you destroy robots instead. Treat it like a fine art. Comes the new movies. What do we plan on doing? Well, we think it's going to do this. Did you see the way that robot's head flew off? Why did we even give it a head in the first place? Did you see? You didn't see that? Look, I captured it. Look at that. Oh my god, that was weird. See the way the other one, it shot off that way. Oh my god, it went with a bang, didn't it? That did not meet our expectations. Alright, next start. Oh, you still collect some from that. It's not all wasted. Bring the robots back as well. Hey, what's happening to you? You're going into our machine of inevitability, which is recycling. We're going to put you in there and you might make a toaster next. Or you could just make another robot. Or a new bot. Or a continue bot. I mean, these are interesting things to concepts. Inevitability bot. Oh my god, there you go. I'll just keep going with it. A travel bot. Stop it. A rock bot. Come on. Oh yeah, you may put your hands on your hips at me and give me that little wiggle that you do, but this is where we should be. Really cheesy, corny little slogans for bots. They need names.
Yeah.
It's better than calling it just bot, isn't it? Bot, and all of them go, yes. Sure, now I give you personalities. Either I'm going to give you a red dot, you're going to have a blue one, you can have a pink one. I don't like the pink, let's go green. That's better. Good job, that's a spectrum, because you lot are too. And they become tools. Factor that into this. Ooh, my days. Send the bots first to the first star system. Why? I want them to make my bed before I lay in it. We plan to expand this many people by the time we get there. We're going to be crushing at the edges. I don't want to be getting to another star system and have to sit there and go, right, we better start building this. Fuck that, send the bots first. They start making home away from home. By the time you get there, you've already got something to expand into. They're already picking out the gases that you need and give them a few seeds in their knapsack and watch them go. I'm going to grow that for you. By the time they've done that, they'll be programmed to piss off to the next star system. They're already there making it happen so that you can expand. 9 billion comes trillion. Trillion humans doing what? Versus a trillion robots at the same time? Holy shit, that's a lot of learning. That's a lot of data. Man, and it all starts with the will to do it, doesn't it? Neil Armstrong, there you are. There's something for him.
Yeah.
Why be a parrot when you can become an eagle? That's freedom, isn't it? That's soaring ability. Yeah, it makes shit happen. Anyway, but you want to be a human, probably not an animal, but still, you know what I mean. Yeah. It's taking everything with you, finding new stuff. My word. And making metals that are more harder or softer, and therefore more of a purpose to what you need them for. Those breakthroughs don't just lay in the minds of individuals that haven't been unlocked, they also lay in reality, waiting, beckoning to be bent, twisted, and shaped out of your will. That's interesting. Why not? Yes, that's impressive. Anyway, I'm going to leave this one here. I touched upon it. I felt it. I flicked it. I loved it. This came out. I like it. There you are. Leave it there.